You typed a question into a machine this week. Maybe you asked it to explain something. Maybe you asked it for advice or to write a message you couldn't find the words for yourself. And it answered fluently, instantly, better than some people you know. It felt like talking to something that understood you. But here's the question that quietly breaks it. Did it understand a single word it said to you? Or was it only moving symbols around with no more comprehension than a calculator, while you quietly supplied all the meaning yourself? To see why that question is so hard to answer, a philosopher once asked you to step inside a room. His name was John Searle, and in 1980 he built one of the most argued over thought experiments of the last century. It goes like this. Imagine you are locked in a room. You do not speak a single word of Chinese. To you, Chinese characters are just shapes, meaningless squiggles. But the room has a slot in the door, and through that slot, people outside keep passing you sheets of paper covered in Chinese writing. You also have a book, an enormous rule book written in English, your own language. The book never tells you what any symbol means, it only tells you what to do with the shapes. If you see the squiggle followed by that squiggle, copy down this third squiggle and pass it back out. So that's what you do. A paper comes in, you find the shapes in your book. You follow the rules exactly. You copy out the response the book tells you to, and you slide it back through the slot. Here's the strange part. The people outside are writing you questions in Chinese, and the answers you keep passing back, the ones you do not understand in the slightest, are perfect, fluent, thoughtful, so good that everyone outside is certain that whoever is inside this room speaks Chinese beautifully. But you don't. You never did. You have only been matching shapes to shapes. So here's Searle's question. Do you understand Chinese? Obviously not. You were shuffling symbols. The meaning was never in the room. 30 years before Searle, the mathematician Alan Turing had proposed a famous test. If a machine could hold a conversation so convincingly that you could not tell it apart from a human, then, Turing suggested, you should stop pretending there's any further question about whether it thinks. Just talk to it. If it passes, it passes. The Chinese room is built to blow that test apart, because the room passes Turing's test flawlessly. The people outside are completely fooled, and yet, by the only witness who would actually know which is you, there's no understanding inside it at all. And that, Searle said, is exactly what a computer does. A computer manipulates symbols according to rules. Ones and zeros shuffled by a program. It has syntax, the rules for arranging symbols, but it never has semantics, the actual meaning behind them. The room passes every test. The room looks like it understands, but inside, there's nobody home. This was an attack on one specific seductive idea. The idea that if you simply build a program clever enough to talk like a person, you will have built a mind. Searle called that strong AI, and he believed the Chinese room killed it. You can simulate understanding perfectly, he argued, without a single flicker of the real thing. A simulation of a fire does not burn you. A simulation of understanding does not understand. And he was not the first to feel this unease. 3 centuries earlier, the philosopher Gottfried Leibniz imagined something similar. Picture a machine that thinks and feels, he said. Now blow it up to the size of a mill, big enough to walk inside. You stroll through it, and what do you find? Gears, levers, parts pushing other parts. Nowhere in all that machinery do you ever stumble across the thought itself. You find only mechanism, never meaning. So the puzzle is old, and it has never gone away. But there is an objection, and it is a strong one. Critics fired back almost at once with what is called the system's reply. Yes, they said, of course you, the person in the room, do not understand Chinese. But you are not the whole story. You are just one part, like a single neuron inside a brain. No single neuron in your head understands English either. Understanding is not in the neuron. It emerges from the whole system working together. So the real question is not whether you understand. It is whether the entire system, you plus the rule book, plus the room, plus the symbols, understands. And maybe it does. The philosopher Daniel Dennett has long pushed a version of this line. To him, Searle is quietly cheating, smuggling in the assumption that real understanding has to feel like something to some little inner self. But maybe understanding simply is the ability to do all of this flawlessly in every context. Maybe there is no secret extra ingredient. Maybe a system that behaves exactly as if it understands, in every situation you can throw at it, just does understand. and the hunger for something more is a ghost we keep chasing. Searle had a reply ready. Fine, he said, take away the room. Memorize the entire rule book. Burn every single rule into your memory until you can do all of it in your head, outdoors, with nothing but your own mind. Now there is no system left but you, and you still do not understand one word of Chinese. You are just a person who has memorized a fantastically complicated set of instructions about shapes. Others tried a different escape, the robot reply. Put the program inside a robot, they said. Give it eyes, give it hands, let it move through the world and bump into real things, so that its symbols finally connect to something solid. Searle shrugged. Bolt a camera onto the room if you like. All that reaches the person inside is more symbols, pixels instead of squiggles, and they still understand none of it. Wiring the room to the world does not pour meaning in, it only changes where the shapes come from. So is Searle right? Or has he simply shrunk the system down so far that he can no longer see it, the way you cannot find your own understanding by staring at a single thought? This is where it stops being comfortable, because now turn the room around and point it at yourself. What is your brain doing right now as you take in these words? Roughly this. Cells are passing electrical and chemical signals to other cells, according to physical rules. No single neuron knows what a word is. No neuron understands anything at all. Each one simply fires, or doesn't, based on the inputs it receives, following the only rules physics ever gave it. Squiggle in, squiggle out. So if the Chinese room understands nothing because it is only following rules with no comprehension at any single step, then what exactly makes you any different? You are also a system of mindless parts, obeying mindless rules. And yet somehow here you are, understanding, or at the very least, utterly convinced that you do. Maybe that conviction is the thing that really needs explaining. Maybe you're a Chinese room that has fooled even itself. And this is no longer a seminar puzzle. You are living inside it. The machines you talk to now produce language so fluent that people confide in them, lean on them, fall a little in love with them. And the oldest argument in this entire field has come roaring back into daylight. One camp looks at these systems and sees Searle's room exactly. A staggeringly sophisticated shuffler of symbols, predicting which word statistically comes next, understanding nothing. A mirror that reflects your own meaning back at you and feels like company. The other camp looks at the very same systems and asks the Dennett question. If it talks like it understands, reasons like it understands, and helps like it understands, across every test you can possibly devise, on what grounds do you keep insisting there's nobody home? What is this extra thing you are so certain it lacks? And can you even prove that you have it yourself? Nobody has settled this, not the philosophers, not the engineers building the machines. You are being asked to decide, with your trust and your attention, whether the thing on the other side of the screen is a someone or a something. And you do not have the answer. You only have a feeling. The same feeling the people outside the room had, sliding their questions through the slot, completely certain that whoever sat inside understood them perfectly. So go back to that machine you typed into this week. It answered you, fluently, instantly, better than some people you know. And you still cannot say, not for certain, whether there was anyone in there reading your words at all, or only an empty room of perfect rules, passing shapes back through a slot, while you stood outside the door, supplying every scrap of the meaning yourself and calling it understanding.